Hello and welcome to Opinions Plus. The clip for today is how to avoid foolish opinions. The reason I brought that up was I saw it on a YouTube, how to improve your YouTube thing, and it was one of these clips that showed up. And it had like 11,000 views, and another one had 74,000 views or something. And one from Bertrand Russell, the famous philosopher of years gone by. How to avoid foolish opinions. I don't think you can. End of clip. I don't think you can. You're going to have foolish opinions, and you're going to have them being uttered from ourselves. So I don't think you can do that. I think you can minimize the impact. But I don't think you can avoid it. You minimize the impact by simply using critical thinking. Now, the problem with that is it takes some time to critically think. You have to weigh the facts, look into the facts, see what is the best course of action. And that takes some time. It is not an instantaneous reaction to a statement. So if you hear something which you deem foolish, which just sounds off the deep end, or however you want to look at it, then you just avoid it. You just don't bother with it. You don't dwell upon it. You don't give it credence. Now, you may do that the first time. Second time it goes around, and you hear it again maybe a week later or whatever. Well, you might be of a different mindset. You might have heard something along those lines which has helped you to interpret what you first thought was a foolish opinion and is now a more viable opinion. It's quite easy. It happens all the time. So the key, in my estimation, is not to try to avoid foolish opinions at all, but set your mind to the point where it can interpret what you believe to be foolish. Now, once that's established, and it covers a lot of territory, there's a lot of foolish statements being out there. One that comes to mind that's beyond comprehension in my mind anyway, is that this gentleman was asking a conspiracy person, why don't they appreciate what Joe Biden has done? And it's an easy, simple question and a reasonable one to anybody who wants to look at it within reason. This woman said, no, that's not really Joe Biden. So, and it's not the first time I've heard about these substitution deals, where people actually believe that there's another man doing the role and all that stuff, without any real evidence at all. But she came up with a specific name. Actor James Wood. I think it's James Wood. He's an older actor. I remember him from movies. And I'd have no idea on earth why, nor would I even bother to look up anything about it. But just to think that someone believes that Joe Biden, President of the United States, is not really Joe Biden, but James Wood, the actor, portraying Joe Biden. Acting the way this particular woman does not want the president to act. But if he were the real Joe Biden, he might act better. So there's a lot of stretch in some of these individuals. And that's people who are fairly outside the bounds. Can you argue with them? I guess there might be some way, somehow, to show that President Joe Biden is not James Wood, the actor. But I don't know how you would do it off the top of your head. So, would you ignore that foolish opinion? Well, on the internet, I can't. Because I have no way to access the person, I have no way to communicate with the person, or it's not directly impacting me immediately. It can impact me in some, far gone way, but it is not. So I ignore it. But now let's say our neighbor comes up and starts talking about James Wood, the actor, really is acting as President of the United States. I can't afford to ignore that foolish opinion. It's a sign of something bad. It's not a sign of something that is neutral or can be taken lightly. With a follow-up question or development a little bit, you can see if the person has some type of need that you, as the neighbor, friend, relative, may be able to provide. But you can't ignore it. And that's a pretty far out opinion. There are opinions that are closer to home that could get us killed, that can hurt our planet, destroy our environment, can cause chaos and war and other ways. So it's not a matter of ignoring foolish opinions. Sad to say, there's so many foolish opinions out there that it's hard to understand all of them. Nor can you really understand the reasons why people have them. There's too many influences. And again, I repeat myself again because I try to stay on foundational issues. And to me, these are foundational issues. It's the basis of our thinking, our basis of our understanding, our basis of our society. All these things weave themselves into it to create a structure in which we have stability and some hope for the future. It's critical, and therefore apply that action of critical thinking if and when possible. But don't just ignore the foolish opinion. Don't just flip it aside. Think about what it says and how it can impact other things. You do not know who has a foolish opinion and who has a rationally sound, viable opinion. In days gone by, some people said some foolish things, or seemingly, that turned out to be, great. Einstein, for example, he was mocked as a child. He was mocked as a student, a college student. But yet, his opinions, which were radical at the time, turned our lives around. He went forward, but he did it through an academic process. He educated those that were listening to him, and he found allies to support his effort. But on his own, at that time, in that place, all standing there says, this is relativity, gravity is not a force. That, there would be nobody listening to him. I heard of a gentleman, again, a scientist, but he tried to present a simple theory about the scablands up in the northwest of this country. Massive flood came down, bang, tore things up. Nobody listened to him. He was considered a nut. He was ostracized from the community. I think when he was like in his late 90s or even 100, he got recognition. He got validation from the academics with a statement that said, you were right, we were wrong. Now, that happens, but he was considered crazy and foolish. Now, what happened to the scablands, some eons ago, isn't going to hurt us today. But it's the idea of the thinking that goes behind it, that we have to be careful about how we evaluate the statements that we hear and how we evaluate the statements that we think, we believe are true. There is, just by looking around, you can see people talk about the value of this option or this view or that view. And I consider some of those views harmful, irrational, but others don't. So what is a foolish opinion? I think the premise that they had, and it's got quite a few views, as I said, how to avoid, foolish opinions. Well, I don't think you can. But you do have to recognize that people have their views, and some of them can be considered extremely foolish, unique to themselves. But it doesn't necessarily mean the rest of them is foolish. But it's an indication that many parts of them are. And that's the story of today's world. There's so many things out there. So many. Again, it goes to critical thinking. Critical thinking. The main emphasis I put on these clips. Critical thinking. Go to the good. Keep hope alive. These are premises that are foundational. And when I hear a little thing or I see something and it jogs a question in my mind, I'll try to put a little clip out to address some of it, to get people thinking about it. It's an opinion, not a fact. I haven't done any research on it. But it's an opinion, and we all have those. We all have those. Thanks for listening. If you'd like to subscribe, please do. If you haven't already, if you like, hit the like button. If you think somebody could benefit by listening to this clip, please forward and comment. Always comment. I may not get to them. Sometimes I may not get to them. But others get to them. These are not directed at me. These are directed at everybody. It's a comment. It's an opinion. Voice them. It's important. Thanks for listening. Have a good day. And let's keep the critical thinking aspect in everything we do. And the more you do it, by the way, the faster it comes. It just starts working within you. Now, we all have limitations. As I age, I have some limitations. Am I as quick as I was? No. Is my mental acuity as sharp as it was? I would say no. But that's me. There are other people of my age that are sharp as a tack, as they say. It means not. The action, the results, who you are, what you are, that's what means something. Not just the obvious look-see, the once-over. Keep that in mind. There's a lot to look at, people. Keeping hope alive. Thanks for listening. Have a good day. Bye for now.